A bittersweet day in Cavalier's kingdom. A big trade has been made by the Cavs this morning. News started coming in last night. Now it's happened. We're going to talk about it on Across the Cavs coming up on Network 216. Unfortunately, the folks behind me, picture of Cedi Osman, Lamar Stevens, they're gone. So as you're listening on audio, we got the picture of Lamar and Cedi cheering on the Cavs from the bench. Now, unfortunately, over these last couple of seasons, Cedi and Lamar spent a lot of time on the bench, sometimes a little more than they should have. But man, if I'm not going to miss these two. I was excited about the Strus deal when we found out it was going to happen. But I was not under the pretense that Lamar would be moved as well. It's hard. Cavs are getting a guy that just went to the finals. He got some great playoff experience the last 2 years, going to a conference finals and an NBA finals. He was not yet a part of the Heat during the bubble, so he wasn't there for the first. What I didn't actually know, something I learned today, that Max Strus, now with the Cavs, played for Chicago. I don't remember that. And I'm usually pretty up on moves and what's happening. I was very surprised to see that he played for Chicago as well. We know he was with the Celtics, but the Heat did not give him his NBA start. The Bulls did. Anyway, Lamar Stevens. There was a whole Across the Cavs episode from a few years ago dedicated to Lamar Stevens. That is how much we love and respect Lamar Stevens. Lamar Brandon Stevens. Philly born and raised. He's tough. Some memorable games for the Cavs. A number of big shots. The game-winning dunk from his rookie season against Atlanta on the road. Man, I was pumped. I was so pumped when that one happened. Felt really good about getting a win against Atlanta that day. An Atlanta team that would go all the way to the conference finals, mind you. And yet I never felt like he had a fair shake at times. Like, he was undrafted. He earned his way, and he would have broken the Penn State scoring record if he had one more game to play. 2020 was the only year that March Madness was canceled. It had to be. There is no way they were going to do that. It's not worth it for anybody. Anybody. And obviously the next year there was the bubble for March Madness, I believe. I might be wrong on that. And he didn't get that chance. Taylor Battle is still the all-time leading scorer at Penn State. Lamar did briefly get to play with fellow Penn State alum Tim Frazier at one point in his Cavs tenure. That's got to be a high. They did have two draftees that the Lions did this year. That program is on the rise significantly right now, these last couple of seasons. But Lamar, love you, man. You had a great run. Pardon the train horn in the background. We'll call that a tribute for Lamar. Even the trains going by care about Lamar Stevens. It was a great run. I'm going to miss you. Your effort, your energy, the dog. Moments with Austin Carr. You come into the game, no matter what, having played, not played. I just think about that Spurs game. He played the whole fourth in overtime and put up 8 and 8 after sitting the entire first 3 quarters. He was always ready. Few guys in the league truly have that work ethic that you have, and I really hope that the Spurs realize that and give you your opportunity. And Cedi Osman, man. Cedi Osman. You're really leaving, aren't you? Cedi. What a ride. 6 years. All those post-LeBron seasons. You know, it's not like Varejao being the holdover from LeBron 1 to LeBron 2, or Tristan staying 9 years. Kevin Love, 4 LeBron years, and then quite a few years after that as well, 4.5 post-LeBron. Man, Cedi, you were the last link. With Kevin gone, it's the Kevin Love shirt. With Kev gone, you were the last link, and now it's over. With Colin Sexton also gone, Darius Garland, drafted in 2019, is the longest tenured Cleveland Cavalier. LeBron loved Cedi. Brought him to that workout with KD and Kawhi and Tim Hardaway and the other big trainers. Hung out with him a lot. Remember that shot he hit against Minnesota? Who did he go and find first? Well, actually, that was the beginning of the end. Isaiah Thomas and others moved. Who did he go and find first? Cedi Osman. That's who got the shoulder bump from LeBron after that shot that would end up reshaping the whole roster. And guess who stuck around during that whole roster reshaping? Oh, sorry. Pointed the wrong way. Cedi Osman. Still here until now. Never been about stats with these guys. Cedi's percentages were hit or miss sometimes, but he was a chase down block artist, was a good slasher, and he could shoot the three. He has one of the best smiles in the league, one of the best social media follows in the league. Love just seeing him happy off the court and on the court. He was a good teammate, and while it didn't work out in the playoffs this year, for Cedi to be a part of the entire rebuild, starting those first couple of years to an ever-changing role, minutes he never knew it was going to happen. He never complained. Not once. DNP, CDs, he don't care. He's just out there when he can be. He's helping in any way he can. He is a picture-perfect teammate. Man, you did everything the Cavs asked of you. You put up with some dark times, and you came out on top. Still smiling. So Cedi Osman, man, this is hard. I can't imagine how Celtics fans felt when Aaron Baines left and they lost the follow of the Aaron Baines fan club. Official Aaron Baines fan club. Actually, it was called the unofficial Aaron Baines fan club, but not quite the same. But the Cedi Osman fan club has been posting that Cedi love nonstop. Spurs are getting a good one. And personally, and we'll get to Max Strus in a second here, I really think the Spurs are getting winning pieces. They brought in Wembanyama. They re-signed Trey Jones, losing Kaida Bates' job. I hope they hang on to Lamar Stevens, personally. Have seen some comments saying they might get rid of him. Would love to see them hang on. My phone's not in front of me as I record, by the way. So if we get any transactions, it's like none since we started. If we get any transactions, then I may not get it in real time. But don't get rid of Lamar Stevens. Keep him around. I think his energy is great, and I think he'll be a great influence on their many young players. So, we'll see what happens. It would be best keeping him. But you never know what might happen. And for Cedi, man, they just lost Bates' job to the Suns. Bring him in. Cedi time, baby. He can shoot. Sohan and Trey Jones will be fine, and Wembanyama is going to be getting triple teams sometimes. Keldon Johnson's there too. Everyone's going to benefit. They're going to be so fun to watch. And honestly, I think Cedi would be great over there. We'll have to see both guys stick. And after what they came through with Cleveland, I think they could really learn a lot from Spurs culture for a year. And then beyond that, man, they'll get extend their careers. But to think Lamar's gone, Cedi's gone, Windler's gone, it's a new era. Those are the guys that you never knew what their role would be on a given night. Obviously, with Dylan Windler injuries, killer. It's a brutal 4 years, unfortunately. But for these two, thank you. You were there. You were always there. You were in the moment, and you were great teammates. And you were certainly underdogs. No one ever counted these two out, though. And you can sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code 216, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Again, sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Promo code 216, they will match your first deposit up to $100. But the era concludes for Cedi and Lamar. And in comes Max Strus. He can shoot. The Strus is loose. I mean, look at some of his numbers and what he can do. 21-22 season where he really immersed himself in a big role. 11 points, 3 boards per game, 44% from the field, 41 from 3. Played in 80 games this year. He could stay healthy. 12 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. That was up. 3-point percentage dropped to 35, but we look at his numbers. He started 33 games. Strus, in all, knocked in 197 threes after hitting 181 last season in just 68 games and 700 less minutes. He's a volume shooter. He can hold his own defensively, and he was just in an NBA Finals. I think he's going to fit in just fine. The money, 4 years, $63 million, very much feels like starter money, so he may be beginning games alongside Donovan and Darius. And then they did just pay LeVert 2 years, 32. So the 4 of them plus Okoro, so the 5 of them will take most of these minutes at the 1, 2, 3. Rubio will still get some chances to back up Darius. In the regular season, you're going to see more guys on the court. I like it. I like Strus. And as mentioned earlier, talked about this with Mac on his Cavalier, brought it up a few other times. He was a guy I wanted the Cavs to try and get. He's here now. He's bringing that Heat culture to Cleveland. So we're going to hope that it pays off and it's worth it. 2 off seasons ago, the Cavs had a sign and trade with the Bulls, and they got Lowry Markkanen in here. 4 years, 72. So similar money, but the 4 years, 63. We're going to assume he's the starting 3. Allen, Mobley, Strus, Mitchell, Garland. Some Heat fans are saying, better hope Mobley and Allen can hold it down for everybody else. Mitchell's okay defensively. Darius has gotten better. The Cavs are going to be great. Not just because of Max Strus, but the other addition, a friend of Donovan Mitchell, a former teammate of Donovan Spider Mitchell, George Minivan Niang. His game speaks for itself. He's been in the league since 16-17. If you didn't know, not everyone does, he came in with the Pacers. Then he played very briefly with the Warriors. He was around Stephen Clay. Then went to Utah. And for the last 5 seasons, as he's gotten more minutes, he shot 41, 40, 42.5, 40, 40 from 3. They gave him 3 years, 26, which is great value. The unfortunate part is Niang is already 30 years old, the only downside of coming into the league so late, but he deserved this payday. Now, his unfortunately in the playoffs always had some bad luck. It hasn't always worked out. He's never made it out of round 2. He was part of the last 2 Sixers teams to lose in the second round. Just didn't happen for them. And he was a part of a couple of Jazz teams that got knocked out a little early. He can shoot. George Niang for the Sixers in the playoffs this year shot 46% from downtown. He's got 46 playoff games in his career. And in those 46 playoff games, he's knocked in 53 threes. I'm good with it. He's 28 of 71 over the last 2 playoffs. And if you're curious, you want to do some math here, that's about 39.4%. He can shoot. Hassan Whiteside, we got shooters. We got shooters. Let's go. We got shooters. Sums up exactly how I feel on this. I like it. I like this guy. Got some Sixers fans in my DMs. Say he can shoot. That's it. He doesn't do much else. We'll see. Maybe the system will teach him a little more about the other side of things. They got Niang and Strus. George Threang. And the Strus is loose. Actually, technically, that would be the Strus are loose, but we're not correcting because no one says the Strus are loose. Is loose. And I'm feeling loose. I'm excited. This is going to be a fun season. There's still more to come. Could make a trade somewhere along the way. The big contract was Strus, but there's still some minimums in there. Still got to address the backup big situation. There's plenty of options. Maybe you pull someone from training camp. You got Imani Bates now. Talked about that with Richie and Jackson last weekend. But Cedi, Lamar, thank you. It was a pleasure rooting for you guys. And who knows? We'll probably have a Cedi Osman pod at some point. The best moments, how he got here. Because we talk about Cedi Osman as this consistent figure. He played in 77 games this year, by the way, which is a career high. Averages lowest point total as a rotational piece. Cedi Osman was a 31st overall pick in 2015. Sandwiched between Montrezl Harrell and Kevon Looney. The other second-round breakthroughs from his class include Josh Richardson, Pat Connaughton, Norman Powell, Rashawn Holmes. Anyway, point we're making here, Cedi Osman, we're in a first-round pick. Kind of an unknown. But you were here, you got along with Braun, and you got your chance to prove it as a starter, and boy, did you ever. You weren't always the best player on the court, but you were never the worst. Cedi Osman did what was asked of him. And I hope that at the end of the season, when his contract expires, someone is going to give him a bit more than the minimum because he's proven he could be a $10 million a year type guy. But that's it. That's today's pod, ladies and gentlemen. The Strus is loose. George Niang, the minivan, is on his way to Cleveland. And we say thank you to Cedi and thank you to Lamar Stevens, the dog. See you next time.